Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2013. We have a village board meeting, and then we will do the committee of the whole. It looks like it's 7 o'clock. First item is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Sherby, would you please call the roll?
Present.
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 Present. We do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. Before we go into the presentation, I would ask that we take a moment of silence. I'm sure the board is aware that a guest visiting a person from Westchester was involved in a one-car accident near Enterprise Drive in Cermak and unfortunately had passed away. And with that, certainly the firefighters that went into the water and tried to make a rescue and recovery, one of which Steve Erickson, a.k.a. Hollywood, received a couple of stitches. We hope he's okay. But we certainly want to honor the police and firemen for doing that job and trying to locate the woman as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So I would ask a moment of silence for the young lady who unfortunately passed away. Okay, with that, our next item of business is a presentation. And this is a presentation, the Retirement Award to Police Chief April Padlick, who is here present this evening as a civilian personality. So with that, I think there's a plaque somewhere? Oh, it's down by Sherby. Okay. I don't want to miss anything.
Huh?
I know I saw that.
Queenie? Okay, a couple things here. First and foremost, flowers for you. Most of you know that April was our chief of police for several years here. I think it was 3 or so. She completed 30 years of service in the village of Westchester. I can recall her actually not only her hiring date, but certainly her testing to be a police officer back around 1983, where one of the events up at the Highridge School was to push a squad car. It was a little different then than it is now, where you do 5 little tests and you pass the physical. But they were jumping over walls and crawling through tubes. And one of the events was taking a squad car and seeing if you could push it. And we had this old gunboat Dodge and kind of driving it. April not only pushed it, she almost slammed it into the wall. Great. Like, oh my God. Yeah, April's done a great job for the village of Westchester. Certainly going to miss her. I worked with her a number of years on the street. One of the most notable days. And, people remember this, but also Greg Hayes was a robbery at the gas station where the JD's was then. And Cisco gas station, and Greg Hayes saw a car just driving down Westchester Boulevard, decided to pull it over, and the guy pulled in somewhat of a dead end off of Kitchener by the Addison Creek, and Greg was walking up to the car. The guy came out with 2 guns and started firing his weapon, 2 guns each, shoot at Greg. Greg wasn't hit, but Greg was shooting over the car and grazing the guy, and he ended up catching him later. And that night it was, I don't want to say martial law, but all the policemen that was working in April, myself, looked high and low for this Desperado, and it was one of those nights that you don't think you're going to have in the village of Westchester, or any village for that matter, that one of your fellow officers would be shot at, and not only with one gun, but with two guns. So thank God the guy missed Officer Hayes that night, but we acted as a police department, and as good as any police department was out there. So with that, Miss April, we have a little retirement plaque for you as well, honoring, presenting Chief April Padley, Westchester Police Department. She loved catching the bad guys. That's her phrase of phrases. An appreciation and recognition of your 30 years of professional service and dedication to the village of Westchester and protecting the safety of our children, presented this 23rd day of July 2013, which is Stephen's birthday, my son, by myself and the Board of Trustees, which are all here behind you, and I see you have your family here as well. Plaque as well. Now,
He's got something else.
did get you could open this up and display this as well. This is what I think of you.
Sam Holter Flowers.
It's not big.
That is a Wonder Woman.
I can't see. I can't see.
The back it says, Wonder Woman. And of course, the infamous April Padley flag.
Aww.
Your family?
My oldest son, Jerry Padley, and my baby in the back, Cody, and my sister Valerie, my sister Rhonda, my brother Nick, and a ton of good friends, Angie, Carl, Carol, Renee, Miss Betty, Candace, I like technology, Kathy, sorry. And I'd like to acknowledge Chief Church from Western Springs Police, who's been a phenomenal mentor and friend. And I just wanted to quickly say it's been my pleasure to work here for 30 and a half years. I'd like to dispel the rumor that I was forced out. And those of us in law enforcement and fire service know that after 30 years you max your pension. And I did make it to 30 and a half years. And it's been my pleasure to be here. Really, it's been phenomenal working with such a great board and with the village manager who not only rules with her head but with her heart, and with the staff. I couldn't have done it without Lieutenant O'Hagan and Lieutenant Mersch and Sergeant Lamanna in the back investigations. And I see one of my former associates, Dan Kaiser, who's been retired for a few years now. How's it going, Dan? Retirement is good. And investigator Eric Rococo for his support. And I hope I'm not missing anybody. I see Linda from records here in the back. Thanks, Linda, for all your service. It's been a great ride. I will miss it.
We'll miss you too, April.
Give me a second. I can't believe how fast 30 years has come. But it was always my passion to be a police officer. In fact, in the 80s, it was unheard of when we got out as women, so here's to the next 30. I'll only get a phone call away, so if you ever need anything.
April well, certainly will miss her. And her style of policing, one of the
And we do have enough ammunition on it.
You didn't mention you shot her.
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to mention that. Nice. Yes, everybody don't run away as we get through our board. Before we go to the committee of the whole, we have a cake and coffee and things for April and her family and all of her friends and all of our guests this evening, so certainly please stick around for a little bit. Okay, item number 5, public comments and questions. To give as many visitors as possible an opportunity to speak, and in the interest of adjourning the meeting by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length unless further time is granted by the board on active or general matters that we may be able to answer.
Good evening, Steve Vandersby, 1905 Delmore. Sam, I had a question about the construction that's going on over at Hull. They're putting in new storm sewers over there, right down the middle of the street. Did I look at that right?
They are replacing what is broken in the storm sewer. I think Dave could probably comment better on that, but if they find any storm or sanitary or anything that needs to be replaced, they've been replacing it as part of the program.
Isn't the sanitary in the rear lots on that street, or, do you know?
I'm not certain, Steve. In some cases in the village, they're in the front, some in the back. I'm not familiar with the exact location of that.
Well, I was kind of surprised that no water mains were getting replaced over there. So I was wondering, are there water mains in the street over there?
Water mains are probably on one of the parkways. I don't know if it's the east or west side where the fire hydrants are at, in the parkway.
If you recall, the reason I bring it up is that when they did my street, they didn't replace the water mains, and they had a series of water main breaks, shortly thereafter. As a matter of fact, on one day they had 3. And I kind of thought that as long as you had the street all tore up like that, you would go ahead and replace the water mains. Considering they got to be as old as everything else, and some of the water mains contain lead in them. As do some of the services to the houses, from what I saw in Balmoral. I'm just surprised that you didn't replace the water mains.
I think generally it's been the policy that if the water mains have experienced a number of breaks in certain areas and times or whatever, that those are looked at a little bit more harder to do those replacements when recommended by staff. I know we have water main replacements going on right now, being replaced on Hydorn and on Charles as a result of prior breaks over the last probably 10 years that it's due for those pieces. So I'm not aware of any particular breaks on Hull or a number of breaks on Hull that would precipitate the actual replacement of that. But maybe Dave could speak a little bit better of that than certainly I can.
As far as I know, I've only been here a year, but based on my staff, there's not been a real history of many water main breaks on Hull, so that's the reason why we did not include that in the project.
Well, see, we didn't have a history of water main breaks down Balmoral and put it in the street. And I think one of the things that aggravated it is they go out after they put the gravel down before they put the pavement down. They go down with one of these big rollers that vibrates, and you can sit in your house when it's going past your house, and you can feel it shaking your house. So I imagine the water main is probably about 4 feet away at that point, so it's got to be, vibrating the water main even more so. It just seems to me like it would make a whole lot more sense if you replace the water main as long as the street dug up. You're already down about 2 feet as it is, so the water main is probably maybe 4 feet. And it's only down one side, pretty much, of the street. If that's how it is there, or that's how it was on Balmoral, I think you ought to think about replacing water mains as a matter of policy when you do a street like that. Thank you.
Well, thanks. Thank you. Anyone else? Please step up. Once, twice, 3 times. We don't have any public hearings, I understand?
No.
Okay, item number 7, consent agenda. We have items A through F. Does any trustee need anything pulled? If not, is there a motion, a second to approve?
So moved. Second.
Frank, and was that Tom? You need a second? Sherby, please call the roll.
Trustee Calhoun.
Aye.
Trustee Gattuso.
Aye.
Trustee Rita?
Aye.
Trustee Stecker?
Aye.
Trustee York?
Aye.
And President Bouillon.
Aye, motion carries. I would ask Dr. Thomas E. Sullivan to step up into the middle, please, be sworn in. Those item F on the board, we have a vacancy of the fire pension fund. The gentleman that has moved out of the village and Tom is going to be appointed and the board authorized this. So, Tom, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I. Thomas E. Sullivan. Do solemnly swear. Support the Constitution of the United States. Support the Constitution of the United States. Constitution of the State of Illinois. Constitution of the State of Illinois. Faithfully discharge the duties. Faithfully discharge the duties. As a member of the Fire Pension Board. As a member of the Fire Pension Board. For the Village of Westchester. For the Village of Westchester. To the best of your ability. To the best of my ability. Thank you, sir. Actually, it's surprising that Tom is actually walking, as he did the half Ironman a few days ago. So I thought we were going to push him in a wheelchair here to get him up. But thank you, Tom, for assuming that role. Item number 8 of the active agenda, resolution approving and establishing the Village of Westchester Home Flood Proofing Assistance Program and adopting guidelines and procedures. Is there a motion and a second for that approval?
Motion.
Second.
Celeste? Angelo, have you a second? Angelo? Any additional discussion on that?
Sam, I would like to point out one item that Trustee Yurkovic brought to my attention, and it is on,
Page 7.
no, page 20. Give me a second here. Tom, do you have it flagged in your copy?
It's page 28, but page 29 of the board packet. I know. Good reader.
I think the packet has changed.
It's 27 and 28 are the whereas. Tom, what issue did you have, sir?
I was just concerned with it says here the village reserves the right to select the lowest quote given to the homeowner for the reimbursement.
It's actually on page 32, subparagraph B at the top.
Okay. Go ahead, Tom, finish, please.
I was just looking at the, I was concerned about the village holding liability if we were going to be picking the contractor to do the work in the homeowners, for the homeowner. I didn't want any liability coming back on the village.
Right, so we thought that we would bring up an alternative to the wording in the bold sentence. Instead of the village reserves the right to select the lowest quote, perhaps the village reserves the right to reimburse based on the lowest quote, if no one has an objection.
Any objections? Is that
Yeah.
Tommy, anything?
No, I'm fine with that. I just didn't want
A liability?
to, yep.
Well, great. Okay, if there's no objections to that, we'll change that. As far as, is that 3, B as in boy?
Yes.
We'll make that edit and get that out there. If there's no other questions on that, Sherby, please call the roll.
Trustee Calhoun?
Aye.
Trustee DeTullio?
Aye.
Trustee Perry?
Aye.
Trustee Rita?
Aye.
Trustee Stecker?
Aye.
Trustee York?
Aye.
President Bouillon.
Aye, motion carries. Our second item is a resolution ratifying and approving the employment separation and release agreement between the Village of Westchester and Chief April Padlick. Motion, second.
So moved.
Second.
Nick, Celeste. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Calhoun?
Aye.
Trustee DeTullio?
Aye.
Trustee Perry?
Aye.
Trustee Rita?
Aye.
Trustee Stecker?
Aye.
Trustee York?
Aye.
President Bouillon.
No. Okay.
She's not here to hear that.
Tell her I said no. Okay. Item number C, resolution approving and authorizing an employment separation and release agreement between the Village of Westchester and Joseph Parenti. Motion second?
So moved.
Who got it?
Nick and then me.
Nick and Polly. This is a ratification? Yeah, even though it's set up as an approval, it's really ratification. Okay. This has been approved, so this would be a ratification of the manager's signature in the resolution. So, motion is second on the floor for that. Sherby, please call the roll.
Trustee Calhoun.
Aye.
Trustee Guzzo.
Aye.
Trustee Perry.
Aye.
Trustee Rita.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yorkman.
Aye.
President Bowie.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 9, manager's report.
Okay, just a couple of quick things. I know we have Molly is in the audience here, who's been working very hard, getting all the final arrangements together for the barbecue block party, which is going to be this Saturday from noon to 9 p.m., followed by fireworks at St. Joe's. The block
At
party.
9:30.
Yes, at 9:30. Block party will be held at the Park District Community Park, right next to the community church. And we've got a lot of fun events planned. I don't know if Molly probably doesn't want to say anything, but it looks like the weather's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun activities for the kids, a couple of bands, some adult refreshments, and should be a good time for everybody. So we hope everybody will come on out for that. And Mike is probably going to be expanding a little bit since we've got 3 weeks to the next board meeting. We'll be having our National Night Out Against Crime on Tuesday, August 6th, but I'll let Mike report on that in his report. That's all I have this evening.
Our attorney, Nick Peppers, is subbing in for Mike Durkin today. Nick, anything?
No report, Mr.
Nothing.
President.
Board members, EDC, Frankie.
Most of the meeting was consumed by the beautification project of the village corridors. We did go over some signage that we're looking at for village corridors. And we discussed the business of the month program that we haven't really agreed on completely.
Okay. Let's see. Cab, Tommy, did you guys have a meeting?
We did have a meeting. I'll keep it to the cow.
Cal?
Yeah.
Okay. Angelo, anything on green? I know you had an event just go by the other day.
We had the e-recycling event, went well. They were unable to meet this month, so nothing other than that.
Nothing. Paulie, anything?
Nothing. Looking forward to come back to the meetings on Monday for us in the
Special events, great, thank you. Good, have you back. Celestine, anything in there? Nikolai?
On Monday, there'll be a police and fire commission meeting. They're going to be going over the entry-level firefighter testing. Those packets should be out at the end of the month, Jimmy?
Yeah, 2 days after that meeting, and all goes well.
Okay, so the packets will be out for candidates for fire department.
Great.
That's pretty much it.
Anything else? Lieutenant O'Hagan, anything?
Just to expound on Faith Lutheran Church at the Boulevard in Roosevelt will be where we kick off the National Night Out on Tuesday, August 6th. We'll begin the walk at 6:30 sharp. They'll end up at the Park District. We have a police car show planned and a movie later that evening. I want to thank Officer Rob Verber and Molly Keene for putting this together. I think we got a real good support and hope to see everybody out for National Night Out.
Chief, Jimmy?
Just 2 things. As you had mentioned earlier, a big thanks to our police and our fire for assisting in that call on Saturday night. Also, thanks goes out to Hillside Fire Department who assisted us that evening. And then the next day, Oak Brook Dive Team came out and helped us hook up the car for the tow to get to remove the car. So big thanks to everybody, and everybody did under the circumstances, did an outstanding job. And then I just want to mention, Friday, August 16th, our Westchester firefighters will be doing Fill the Boot at the corner of Manheim and Roosevelt from 2 to 6. So start scraping together your change to fill the boot.
Thank you, Jim. Annie?
Good evening. Congratulations, Chief Padalecki.
She's partying already.
Yeah, she's celebrating already. Staff has been working on a draft RFP for our general ledger software system. As you recall, that was approved in the 2013-14 budget. We will require bids to be submitted and have putting together staff to review those when they come back in. So we're looking to release that RFP by the end of the week and hopefully have responses in. I think we're asking for them Friday, August 16th. So it's the first step in a process, but together we will get there.
Thanks, Annie. Gregory?
Actually, I originally had not much to say here, but I'm going to expound on the movie nights and barbecue real quick, just because they weren't noted, that the movie for August 6th, National Night Out, is Goonies. We also were asked to participate with the Park District, which we did last year with the Donkey Baseball, but we're also going to have a movie after the back-to-school event at the Westchester Park District. This movie is going to be inside the park. They asked if we could assist with them on putting that together to continue along with a Disney theme that is going to be occurring in the park throughout the back-to-school event. We're going to be showing Finding Nemo inside the park. I also wanted to point out real quick, regards to the barbecue, I know there's some issues and questions with regards to parking, and I just wanted to address a few of them real quick that I can address. Because Hull and Bond is under construction, there's been some concern with regards to where to park. Molly and I took a little drive around to determine where parking would be available within walking distance. Just to note that all of Westchester Boulevard is going to be open with the exception of right alongside the park due to the carriage ride. But otherwise, all of Westchester Boulevard is open, both sides of the street. Balmoral, the whole east side of the street is wide open. We're also asking that you respect PNC and their business, as their business doesn't close till 1:30 on Saturdays. So those who want to park and maybe take a walk through the park to get to the event, that would be a good place. We found about 70 spots there. In addition, the Westchester Middle School, Lieutenant O'Hagan and I determined that to be at about just a half a mile. For those who can walk, that is an option there. There's some parking there. Also, just wanted to note that Divine Infant has church that evening at 5 o'clock. So again, please respect Divine Infant's services there. And if after 6:15 or so, you do still need a place to park, that will be open for you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Dave?
The Public Works Department has, actually we've got a week and a half to go yet on our in-house pavement grinding and patching program. We've been focusing primarily east of Manheim with Phase 2. Today we were working near Bond and Portsmouth. Today we completed catch basin replacement on North Newcastle and also the Strand in preparation for Phase 2 of the street improvement program where that pavement will be reconstructed. Last week we installed a self-flushing device on the water main, the dead-end water main system on 31st Street east of Hickory Lane. That'll eliminate the need for staff to flush that water main system to provide adequate chlorine levels for those users. We're also replacing faded stop signs. We began pavement striping a couple of weeks ago. We've also been doing storm damage cleanup from this past weekend's little windstorm that passed through. We're also doing alley grading with a motor grader we've borrowed from the village of Bellwood. Other news, the 50-50 sidewalk program is out to bid right now. We're hoping to begin that program later in August, as a matter of fact, with completion by mid-October. The Bond and Hull reconstruction project, the storm sewer replacement is almost complete, followed by pavement removal and replacement. That project's probably about a month away from completion. Also, Phase 2 of the street improvement program will begin on August 5th, which includes North Newcastle, the Strand, Hull, north of the Strand, High Dorn and High Ridge, and Charles Streets.
Great. Thank you.
Dave?
And what? Okay.
Also wanted to mention quickly that due to the extreme heat that we've been having recently, Public Works has changed their hours to 6 a.m. to 2:30 through August 31st. So if anybody's looking to come in and meet with anyone from Public Works, you'll have to adjust your schedule briefly.
Thanks for that.
And I know this board talked about doing a sign survey for the reflectivity. I know there's some timelines that the federal government has in place. And I want to compliment Dave, some of the new signs that I've seen up there. Some have had the plastic reflectors inside the pole as well for the stop signs. And the one thing that I did notice are the little stickers that are yellow on the back with kind of a date and time stamp on there that we're keeping track of. So when we're called the task of which ones we replaced, we have a list and these things are out there. So make no mistake that those signs belong to the Village of Westchester as well. So thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you, sir.
Melissa, you're up.
Good evening. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but ATI Physical Therapy is moving into the to the shopping center at the corner of 31st and Wolf by the Dunkin' Donuts. They're under construction right now, or in plan review. Also, we had the comprehensive plan open house last week. It was pretty well attended. If you haven't had the opportunity to see the boards that were up, they're posted in Village Hall, just outside the doors here, and also up front by the main doors into Village Hall, and also at the library and the Park District. So if you have the opportunity, and they'll be posted on the website soon. Also, just in case anybody should inquire, we recently sent out letters to everybody that has a backflow device on their property that hasn't been tested in the last year to remind them to get their annual test results in. So just in case you should be approached by any residents or business owners that got an annual test reminder, that's what it's in regards to. And just so that everybody knows, the Economic Development Committee has been working on the business retention survey, and we're finally at a point that at the end of the month we're going to close the survey so we can start reviewing the results and start tabulating responses. That's it.
Great. Thank you. McGee, you have something?
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify something in regards to National Night Out and the movie night. They're actually in conjunction with each other. I know people have had some questions about movie night being on the same night as National Night Out. The actual National Night Out events kind of happen before the movie night, beginning at 5 p.m. At the Faith Lutheran Church campus, as Lieutenant O'Hagan had stated, and they conclude at the Community Center Park with a movie that starts at 8:30 p.m. And there are other activities that are occurring between 6:30 arrival at the park and the movie at 8:30. So people only want to go to one or the other, they're more than welcome, but they're actually in conjunction with each other. If that you guys get any questions, and the movie that we're playing is Goonies, so I think it's a good one for the theme of the event, and hope everybody comes out and enjoys themselves and can make it to the barbecue. I'd love to see everybody on the mechanical bull.
Thank you, Molly. Ms. Sherby, anything for the night? Nothing. Okay. Looks like I'm up. I'll be brief. Janet and I did meet with MWRD yesterday. And the theme of this, and our engineer from Burke Engineer, Mark, was there, and company, trying to move forward with a Phase 2 project, which is the expansion of the Mayfair Reservoir. We have some preliminary engineering that's done. It's been submitted to MWRD. It was a very favorable meeting. The timelines in government are certainly not my timelines, but MWRD was kind enough to send us a draft of an intergovernmental agreement documents that we're getting to Mike or Nick to take a look at to expedite this program. The MWRD wants to bring a host of all these Phase 2 projects from all the municipalities that submitted to the MWRD board in September. They have a meeting, I think it's twice a month or 2 times a month or whatever, to try to get these things going. It looks very favorable for us, but anyway, you know, being in government, sometimes there's a different chinks in the armor that set us back. So the project out there is the expansion of Mayfair Reservoir, probably another third, but there certainly has to be soil borings and testings and things of that nature, and hopefully we can expedite this. There's a number of people that may or may not be involved with the Army Corps of Engineers, the IDNR, the MWRD, the village. So there's more players than obviously we'd like to have, but you know, that'll be whatever. But it was very favorable. Both the engineers of V3, who designed the beginning of this portion, and Burke engineers were there, and both spoke favorably about the amount of houses that may be relieved from flood damage in the events that we've seen over the last couple of years. So that's a very positive. Today I met at the county level. As you know, we have our mitigation plan as a village. And Oak Park, I think, is the other one, but Cook County does not have a mitigation plan, which means that they cannot receive any of the 15% of monies that come from the federal government as a result of the amount of money spent in this last flood event, which is right now about $140 million. So with that being said, Westchester may be able to secure those funds, and Janet and I are in the middle of that as well. There is a steering committee for the Cook County put in place today, and I am the chairperson of that committee for the entire county. So, with that being said, I think we're on the forefront of the issue. It's more than flooding and a mitigation plan. There's mitigation for tornadoes, for snow, or whatever. I think the high priority is certainly for Westchester at this point in time would be floods, but I'm in touch with a number of FEMA representatives and other pieces of the COG and other municipal leaders and leaders from ComEd and NICOR and other places as well. Cook County Department of Homeland Security, Mike Masters and company. So we had our first meeting today. Our next one will be August 27th. These will be open to the public as well for comments, questions, and that. So anyway, we're in the game with that. We have an executive session under 5 Ilix 122C1, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body. I would ask that be held after our committee of the whole meeting. Right now, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting and suspend it momentarily while we have cake for April, and then we'll reconvene in a short period of time.
So moved.
Tom, second.
Second. I'll second.
Paul. All those in favor of adjourning our board meeting this evening, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no. We stand adjourned. Let's reconvene in about 10-15 minutes and enjoy cake and our fellowship with Chief Padlick.